Namaste, Dandavat Pranam. By the instruction and grace of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj, we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 4, The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 8, Text 64. Na- um, Text 64. Narada Uvacha Jankin Jayase Dirgam Mukhena Parisushata Kimbhanarishyate kamo dharmo vartina samyuta. The great sage Narada inquired, "My dear king, your face appears to be withering up, and you look like you have been thinking of something for a very long time. Why is it? Have you been hampered in following your path of religious rites, economic development, and sense gratification?" Purport. The four stages of advancement of human civilization are religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and for some, the stage of liberation. Narada Muni did not inquire from the king about his liberation, but only regarding the state management, which is meant for advancement of the three principles: religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification. Since those who engage in such activities are not interested in liberation, Narada did not inquire from the king about this. Liberation is meant for persons who have lost all interest in religious, ritualistic ceremonies, economic development, and sense gratification. Text 65. Rajo Vacha Sutome Bhalako Brahman Strayena Karunatmana Nirvashita Panchavarsha Sahamatra Mahankavi. The king replied, "O best of the Brahmanas, I am very much addicted to my wife, and I am so fallen that I have abandoned all merciful behavior, even to my son, who is only 5 years old. I have banished him and his mother, even though he is a great soul and a great devotee." Purport. In this verse, there are some specific words which are to be understood very carefully. The king said that since he was very much addicted to his wife, he had lost all his mercy. That is the result of becoming too affectionate toward women. The king had two wives. The first wife was Suniti, and the second wife was Suruchi. He was too attached to the second wife, however, so he could not behave well with Dhruva Maharaj. That was the cause of Dhruva's leaving home to perform austerities. Although as a father the king was affectionate toward his son, he minimized his affection for Dhruva Maharaj because he was too much addicted to the second wife. Now he was repenting that both Dhruva Maharaj and his mother Suniti were practically banished. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest, and since his mother was being neglected by the king, she was therefore almost banished too. The king repented, having banished his boy, for Dhruva was only 5 years old, and a father should not banish his wife and children or neglect their maintenance. Repentant over his neglect of both Suniti and her son, he was morose, and his face appeared withered. According to Manusmriti, one should never desert his wife and children. In a case where the wife and children are disobedient and do not follow the principles of home life, they are sometimes given up. But in the case of Dhruva Maharaj, this was not applicable because Dhruva was very mannerly and obedient. Moreover, he was a great devotee. Such a person is never to be neglected, yet the king was obliged to banish him. Now he was very sorry. Text 66. Abhyantam va Abhyanatam vane brahman Masmadhantyar bhakambraka Shrantam sayanam chuditam Parimlana mukambujam. My dear Brahmana, the face of my son was just like a lotus flower. I am thinking of his precarious condition. He is unprotected and he might be very hungry. He might have lain down somewhere in the forest and the wolves might have attacked him to eat his body. Text 67. Aho me bhat dhuratmyam srijitasyo padhadaraya yonkam premnaruchantam nabhyanandam asatmana asatama. Alas, just see how I was conquered by my wife. Just imagine my cruelty. Out of love and affection, the boy was trying to get on my lap, but I did not receive him, nor did I even pat him for a moment. Just imagine how hard-hearted I am. Text 68. Narda uvacha mamasucha svatanayam deva guptam vishampate tat prabhavam avigyaya pravrinkte yadya so jagat. The great sage Narada replied, My dear king, please do not be aggrieved about your son. He is well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although you have no actual information of his influence, his reputation is already spread all over the world. Purport. Sometimes when we hear that great sages and devotees go to the forest and engage themselves in devotional service or meditation, we become surprised. How can one live in the forest and not be taken care of by anyone? But the answer, given by a great authority, Narada Muni, is that such persons are well protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sharanagati or surrender means acceptance or firm belief that wherever the surrendered soul lives, he is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is never alone or unprotected. Dhruva Maharaja's affectionate father thought his young boy, only 5 years old, to be in a very precarious position in the jungle. But Narada Muni assured him, You do not have sufficient information about the influence of your son. Anyone who engages in devotional service anywhere within this universe is never unprotected. Text 69. Sudushkaram karma kritva lokapalar api prabhu asyatya chirato rajan yaso vipulayam stava. My dear king, your son is very competent. He will perform activities which would be impossible even for great kings and sages. Very soon, he will complete his task and come back home. You should know that he will also spread your reputation all over the world. Purport. Here in this verse, Narada Muni has described Dhruva Maharaj as Prabhu. This word is applicable to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes the spiritual master is addressed as Prabhupada. Prabhu means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Pada means post. According to Vaishnava philosophy, the spiritual master occupies the post of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Or in other words, he is the bona fide representative of the Supreme Lord. Dhruva Maharaj is also described here as Prabhu because he is an acharya of the Vaishnava school. Another meaning of Prabhu is master of the senses. Just like the word Swami, another significant word is Suduskaram, very difficult to perform. What was the task that Dhruva Maharaj undertook? The most difficult task in life is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Dhruva Maharaj would be able to do that. We must remember that Dhruva Maharaj was not fickle. He was determined to execute his service and then come back. Every devotee, therefore, should be determined that in this life he will be able to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and by that process go back home, back to Godhead. That is the perfection of the highest mission of life. Text 70. Maitreya Uvacha iti devarshinha proktam vishrutya jagati pati raja lakshmim anhadritya putram evan pachintayat. The great Maitreya continued. The king Uttanapad, after being advised by Narada Muni, practically gave up all duties in relation with his kingdom, which was very vast and wide, opulent like the goddess of fortune, and he simply began to think of his son Dhruva. Text 71. Tatrabhishik taprayatas tam uposya vibhavarim samhahita payacharad rishadeshena purusham. Elsewhere, Dhruva Maharaj, having arrived at Madhuvana, took his bath in the river Yamuna, and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The significance of this particular verse is that Dhruva Maharaj acted exactly according to the advice of his spiritual master, the great sage Narada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also advises that if we want to be successful in our attempt to go back to Godhead, we must very seriously act according to the instruction of the spiritual master. That is the way of the perfection. There need be no anxiety over attaining perfection, because if one follows the instruction given by the spiritual master, he is sure to attain perfection. Our only concern should be how to execute the order of the spiritual master. A spiritual master is expert in giving special instructions to each of his disciples, and if the disciple executes the order of the spiritual master, that is the way of his perfection. Text 72. Triratrante triratrante kapita kapitaha badhar kapitaha badharshana atmavrityanusarena masamninye richayan harim. For the first month, Dhruva Maharaj ate only fruits and berries on every third day, only to keep his body and soul together. And in this way he progressed in his worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Kapita is a flower known in Indian vernacular as kayata. We do not find an English equivalent for the name of this flower, but its fruit is generally not accepted by human beings. It is eaten by monkeys in the forest. Dhruva Maharaj, however, accepted such fruits, not for luxurious feasting, but just to keep his body and soul together. The body needs food, but a devotee should not accept foodstuff to satisfy the tongue in sense gratification. It is recommended in Bhagavad Gita that one should accept as much food as necessary to keep the body fit, but one should not eat for luxury. Dhruva Maharaj is an acharya, and by undergoing severe austerities and penances, he teaches us how one should execute devotional service. We should carefully know the process of Dhruva Maharaj's service, How severely he passed his days will be shown in later verses. We should always remember that to become a bona fide devotee of the Lord is not an easy task, but in this age, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, it has been made very easy. But if we do not follow even the liberal instructions of Lord Chaitanya, how can we expect to discharge our regular duties in devotional service? It is not possible in this age to follow Dhruva Maharaj in his austerity, but the principles must be followed. But the principles must be followed. We should not disregard the regulative principles given by our spiritual master, for they make it easier for the conditioned soul. As far as our ISKCON movement is concerned, we simply ask that one observe the four prohibitive rules, chant 16 rounds, and instead of indulging in luxurious eating for the tongue, simply accept prasad offered to the Lord. This does not mean that with our fasting, the Lord should also fast. The Lord should be given foodstuff, which is as nice as possible. But we should not make it a point to satisfy our own tongue. As far as possible, we should accept simple foodstuff just to keep the body and soul together, to execute devotional service. It is our duty to remember always that in comparison to Dhruva Maharaj, we are insignificant. We cannot do anything like what Dhruva Maharaj did for self-realization, because we are absolutely incompetent to execute such service. But by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we have been given all concessions possible for this age. So at least we should always remember that neglect of our prescribed duties and devotional service will not make us successful in the mission we have undertaken. It is our duty to follow in the footsteps of Dhruva Maharaj, for he was very determined. We should also be determined to finish our duties in executing devotional service in this life. We should not wait for another life to finish our job. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 73 on Friday. Dandavat Pranam Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu. Beautiful verse.
Yes. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Guru Dev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees, Sama Bhakti Veda Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai,
Jai.
Nishinapur Dham ki Jai, Mayapur
Jai.
Dham ki
Jai.
Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai,
Jai.
Jagannath Subhadra Ju ki Jai.
Jai.
Mai Yamuna Mai ki Jai,
Jai.
Vrindavan ki Jai, Giri
Jai.
Govardhan ki Jai,
Jai.
Radha Kund ki Jai,
Jai.
Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi ki Jai,
Jai.
Jai Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai,
Jai.
Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai,
Jai.
Scientific Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai,
Jai.
Bhaktivedanta Institute ki Jai, Sri
Jai.
Chaitanya Saraswati Institute ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya
Jai.
Saraswati Mat ki Jai,
Jai.
Jai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari
Hari Bo.
Jai Sripadananda Krishna Prabhu ki Jai. Hare
Jai
Krishna.
Sripad Sri Keshava Krishna Keshava Prabhu ki Jai.
Namaste Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Yes. Next Friday.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.